Hello, everybody, and welcome to Box Seat Banter. I'm your host, Billy Ballas, and we have a special 2020 postseason recap episode, celebratory episode, discussing the Dodgers championship. And I'm welcoming back my three guests from the Dodger episode: Ollie Turner, Evan Fujinaga, and Alex Morales. Guys, welcome back to the program.
Yeah, we're excited, man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, don't be too excited here, Ollie.
I think where's Terry?
He is he's celebrating in his own right as the Mets have new owners. So we know the feeling as Dodger fans suffered through the terrible McCourt years, and then rejoiced when Magic and company bought the team. So he's, maybe the Mets are 8 years away from a title now if they follow the same.
34 years ago to the day, the Mets won in '86. So I thought Terry would be here celebrating with us.
Yeah, so we are discussing the Dodger championship run here in 2020. It has been 32 long years in LA since the Dodgers last won a title. What were you guys doing, back then in '88 when the Dodgers were winning that championship? I mean, I was 3.5 years old. I was too young to remember it. You guys are a little bit older than I am, not much, but old enough to remember back then in '88. So tell me what you guys were doing back then.
I was at a friend's house, the same place. I think we talked about it maybe offline last time about same place I watched Mike Tyson lose his big fight against Buster Douglas, but my friend's house, he had the setup and we were there. So that's where I watched it, and it was pretty exciting, and I still rewatch it on Timeless Dodgers, and then the whole build up and everything else is really cool. But yeah, never forget.
Is that game 1 or is that game 5 of the World Series that year?
That was game 1, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and then so I just remember that being a Dodger fan. First glove, I think I said last time, was Steve Garvey, and just all those guys, and Vin and everything. But Kirk Gibson, obviously, like we talked about last time. But yeah, I remember exactly where I was when I saw that, and it's been a long time.
Yeah.
But we've had a lot of other cool memories, like we talked about. Being a fan is different, and all the summers and everything has been a lot of fun. So, but this was special for sure.
Fuge?
It's been long enough to where I don't know exactly what I was doing. I know I was at home, but it was.
But we were about the same age. We're all we were 12.
Yeah, 6th grade, something like that.
Yeah. We were 12 years old.
7th grade? I don't know.
You were 11.
I'm probably closer to Billy's age than your guys'
Yeah,
age.
that's right.
You don't remember?
No, I barely remember. I mean, the Gibson stuff, but then we've seen it so many times. That's probably why I think I remember it really well. There's certain things I definitely remember. I wasn't a huge Dodger fan at the time.
Right.
I wasn't a Dodger fan. I was a Mets fan.
So we're talking game 1 or 5 here?
Talking about the whole series.
Yeah, the whole thing.
And I think I was a bigger Canseco fan than I was a Dodgers fan. So I didn't care. I didn't celebrate or anything. I don't remember watching.
But you had baseball cards, so I remember.
Baseball cards, 86 Donruss, rated rookie.
Yeah, and you got McGuire playing first that day. As a second-year player, he had hit 49 home runs the year before, and so I had McGuire's 84 USA
tops.
Yeah, autographed by him in person. So the A's had won the year before, and Eckersley was lights out. It was like we were talking about.
No, that's not right.
The Twins won the year before.
Never forget it.
No, 87. Oh, they won
Twins,
the year after.
Cardinals.
Yeah, they won the year
89.
after.
Yeah.
And they lost in 90 again.
Yeah, that A's team won.
But 87 was McGuire, and Canseco started the Bash Brothers.
Yeah. 87, he's 49 home runs, rookie record.
Yeah. Basically, from integration in 47 until that Dodger title in 88, the Dodgers were very successful. At the end of their Brooklyn run, they had several pennants, finally winning the World Series in 55. They come to LA, they win the World Series in 59, their second year. They go to the World Series and win in 63 and 65. They lose in 66. In the 70s, they lose in 74, 77 and 78. They also lose to the Yankees, and they win in 81. 85, they had that tough playoff loss to the Cardinals, and they win it in 88. So I mean, that's a pretty continuous stretch there of, pennant winning and World Series wins. But then after 88, a huge drought. They
15 years before a win?
Yeah, they didn't win a playoff game until Lima time in 04. Then they, I think they got swept in like 95, I want to say, to the Braves.
The Reds swept them in there, I remember that.
That's right.
Sanders.
And the Braves had a lot to do with us losing all those times we did make the playoffs. So to be the Braves, who are kind of up and coming now, but before they were the dynasty, and we just got smashed by the Braves. So I thought about all that stuff, nostalgia, when we were doing that, going through this portion of it for sure.
Yeah, but so they finally, they finally won that playoff game, and they won a playoff series in 08 against the Cubs, but they came up short in the NLCS in 08 and 09. Then finally, they had the streak of division titles began in 2013, and twice the Dodgers have lost in the World Series in 17 and 18. And then this year, in the offseason, the cheating allegations came out against the Astros. Did it seem like the Dodgers were cursed after all this stuff? It's like, they had a great shot then. They lose in 2018 to the Red Sox, who also had some cheating allegations going on. Did it seem like anything was going to happen?
I've heard talks about the curse, but I never believed there was a curse. I don't know where it would have came from or what the curse would have been.
Yeah,
other than what Terry told us last week.
How long of a drought? How long of a drought does there have to be for there to be a curse?
Well, I think something has to happen to create it, like the goat and those kind of things. Like
curse of the Billy Goat, that Greek tavern over. You can't trust any of those Greeks. And or maybe
make a good charburger though,
Make sure to stay on their good side. Maybe that's the lesson learned there. And if you're the Red Sox, don't trade away a star
again.
Yeah. I mean, the Indians haven't won since 48?
Yeah.
48.
Yeah.
But if you go pre-war, those were the 2 ones. Maybe that's how long you have to go for there to be a drought or for a curse. But very long drought. And then this year, in after the Dodgers traded for Mookie, it's like, all right, they've got the team lined up. They've got this team. They're the favorites for the World Series. And then the season, it looked like we might not even get the season in. And it's like, they're cursed again. So that takes us to baseball in 2020. What was it like for you guys watching baseball this year, even, from the regular season and everything?
It was tremendous for me. I didn't realize how much I would miss it until these last couple of days. I found myself with quote unquote free time at night. Like, what do I do? Yeah. I think it lends itself well, especially on the radio. The no crowd, it's not a huge factor. I thought Dodger Stadium did a great job with the stuff that we were miking in. Mm-hmm. It sounded good. I thought the announcers were good. It was still like we talked about the last podcast. There's a story kind of being told, and It's just in the background for the most part. And they were fun and exciting to watch.
Yeah. Ollie, what do you got on? What was it like this year? Because normally we go to some games and everything.
Yeah, I missed that for sure. Especially with you guys or whoever, whoever you go with. Depending, I go with my kids. I go with you guys. At least try to go once or whatever. Or even just go sit somewhere and watch a game. So the intimacy of us being able to talk through a game together, and now. We tried to do it on text message or whatever. So I missed that portion of it for sure, the live stuff. But I was on board with the legend of Chico from the get-go. You know what I mean? So that started early, and it was a lot of fun because I really didn't believe it was going to happen.
Yeah.
I felt like there'd be a lot of the stuff that happened to Turner at the very end happening throughout, and then what happened with the Marlins right on way, and it was just... So almost every day I couldn't believe that I got to experience a real game with the same strategies and everything that I love to be, to root on and whatever. So I had fun with it for sure.
Fuj?
Yeah, it's same thing. I mean, it was good to watch. I watched other teams play, and some of these funky rules. You want to see how guys react, and it was pretty interesting. But what was good about it too was just that you had to have that sense of urgency. and see how those guys reacted. So if the teams came out to a slow start, are they going to throw in the towel because there's only 60 games? So it was more of I think we talked a little bit about last time, kind of a college or an amateur kind of slant to it.
Mm-hmm. We had expanded playoffs. What did you guys think about that? I know that Manfred wants to expand because that's where the money is. But he said, I think he came out recently and said that, it's not going to be 8 teams in each league, but they may expand it at some point. What do you guys think about that this year, and what do you think about it, the possibility of expanded playoffs going forward?
I'm okay with expanded playoffs. I did not like the way they did it this year. You put teams that did, you didn't reward teams that did well in the regular season, right? In a 3-game series, anything could have happened to the Rays or the Dodgers or any team. So that part needs to be addressed, right?
Yeah.
Do you give them a bye, or do you make them play back-to-back wild card games to advance to a 5-game series? Something. You can't just have a 3-game set.
Yeah,
I like that they kept them all at one site for the 3-game series, and I absolutely loved the no days off.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's interesting because you could argue the other way. This is the first time in how long in baseball? Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
It's never happened.
The best two.
Oh, one
the
seed
best
in each
two
league.
seeds made it, and in
Yeah.
basketball and stuff. And so, how do you set up a playoff in baseball? Because anything can happen, even in a 5-game series. But a 3-game series, maybe that's how those two teams won the majority of their series. And the no days off thing, I think, is the key.
Can't
So-
do it. I mean, going
You can't
forward
do it,
though,
yeah.
you're gonna travel for the.
Yeah, because you got to give home fans, and you're making way more money, so that's going to be a tougher thing. But
That's
I
not
think
happening
that made
anytime
it
soon.
That made it a truer baseball series. I felt like.
Yes.
The
Well,
no
and
days
it
off.
proved I thought the better team, because you had to have depth. And you had to have someone at the helm that could have a vision and plan accordingly.
Magic.
Yeah.
Matt Cookie was there too.
With that expanded playoffs, and the shortened season, was it easier or harder to win the World Series this year? What do you guys think?
I think clearly it's harder with that extra first round.
Yeah,
Right.
it just create more variables, right?
Yeah. And then the no days off, I thought, made it tougher than ever before. Right? You couldn't just rely on your 2.5 starters and your 4 nasty boy bullpen guys.
Mm-hmm.
You had to go a little bit deeper, and you had some choices to make, planning ahead wise.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought those two things, and then obviously throwing in all the other stuff, the off the field protocols and the being at one site and not being around your family and those kind of things makes it, I think, tremendously harder.
They talk about being at one site. Now the Dodgers, after that initial wild card round, because the wild card rounds were all played at the locations of the home team, so they played the Brewers at Dodger Stadium. But then after that, the Division Series, the League Championship Series, and World Series were all at a neutral site, and the Dodgers got to play all those 3 rounds at Globe Life Field in the home of the Rangers. Was that an advantage for them, being playing all of their postseason games at one location, whereas the Rays were playing in San Diego for the first 2 rounds, the Division Series and the ALCS, before they traveled to Texas, and then the Braves played the Division Series in Houston? Was that an advantage for the Dodgers, or do they kind of get stale and boring, and maybe like the Rays kind of got rejuvenated by going to a new location? What do you guys think on that?
The obvious thing to say is the Dodgers had a little bit more advantage, but there were some and we'll get to the plays that were made probably, but there were some outfield blunders because of the stadium, and there were some great plays in the outfield that maybe wouldn't have got made if they hadn't played as many games there.
Mm-hmm.
But so definitely I felt like that was to the Dodgers' advantage at the end of the day. But yeah, we were frustrated when they first got there, and we saw a lot of warning track balls, and we're like, hey, well, our advantage is we can hit the ball out of the yard, and now doesn't seem to be happening. Of course, it's partially our, imagination about that, but yeah, the key to me was the everyday. everyday games made it a better series. It expanded rosters and everything else. But and to me, going back to the format is of expanded playoffs, I think, and this may be, I was going to get your guys' opinion, maybe just because it was the Dodgers, but the Dodgers, there's more like everyday, like more fans involved because the Dodgers have been good for a while now than there were in the 90s, like we talked about, where we were actually probably rooting for Socha and the Angels, even though we still consider, for me personally, I consider myself a Dodger fan, but seeing Hatcher and Socha over there from the time when we were good, it was nice to see at least the coaching tree or whatever you want to call it with some of our guys out there. So that kind of got us through some of those years. But this year, more people involved. So like the Dodger playoffs start, and yeah, in the past people would go to the games or whatever, but I think families would watch the game more so than they would with dad just watching the game during the regular season. So because there were more of those games, I feel like more people get involved. My sister lives in San Diego, and they were super excited about the Padres, and everybody was doing well, and they're going to be back probably next year as well as the Braves and some of the other teams. But I just think it involves more fans with more playoff games, and that's what basketball does. And so it just strings it out more. So the regular season games maybe can be tedious, or so what, the Dodgers are on every day. But if it's a playoff game, now they might, let's have dinner and have some friends over or whatever, even though this year was tough for that.
Well, I guess to get back to your original question.
Thank you.
Yeah, Robert McNamara used to once say, don't ever answer the question that was asked of you. Answer the question that you wished was asked of you. But I can answer the question. I think that was a good advantage. I mean, a very big advantage for the Dodgers because it's a routine-based game, and time changes one way or the other. Everything else, I mean, they got to set up shop for once they left home for the rest of the way, and that was good.
Yeah, and they had the best record, so they were the home team, and so they had that home clubhouse and dugout the entire time, even when they alternated who was home and away, they stayed on, their sides. So, I mean, that's a new park, so I figure both the home and visiting clubhouse are pretty nice, but you got to imagine the home clubhouse is going to be...
Check the rules. Tony Bloomfield.
Well, they did mention that in the rules and the protocols because of COVID that you would, regardless, you were staying. I brought up that story as well. So I agree with these guys. The familiarity, the routine-based advantage, you get to know the fields and nooks and crannies, whatever those are. But on the flip side, they're doing something that they never do, right? They're at the same place for 25 days, 26 days. And if you've ever been with someone that's, not direct family for more than 2-3 days, that is. And now this is 20-something days with, again, family's not around, and there was some strict protocols about what they could and couldn't do. That part of it makes it a little tough. I would say also, was it an advantage when they were down 3-1 to the Braves?
Yeah.
So
when that series was going on, the Padres were playing the Cardinals. Did you guys have a preference on who the Dodgers would be matched up with in the NLDS? Fuge, you're nodding.
Well, yeah, the Cardinals are so close and getting that series, and that I think they had a big 6th inning, and then Padres hit a bunch of home runs in the last few innings, but
and that was in Game 2, right?
That would eliminate, right? They would have swept them.
Yeah. But did you want to see the Cardinals?
Yeah.
You felt the Cardinals were the weaker team?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But the Padres didn't have all their pitching either. So I had a lot of different thoughts about that. The Padres have never been a threat to us. I jokingly say they're AAA or whatever, but they're good. So I was scared that now the Dodgers have this great season. I'm so excited, and the Padres are up and coming, and we come and we lose to the Padres. After all those years we talked about with the Giants.
Right.
What's interesting as we were talking, though, about those Giants, so the Dodgers were good, and then the Giants win 3 World Series, but there's never... Or, I don't know, am I wrong? Has there been a really good Dodger-Giants playoff now that they've
never
since we've been alive?
Yeah.
They've never played in the postseason.
I know.
Yeah.
And all those years we lost to the Cardinals, they snuck through and went to the World Series, and we're so mad that Joe Kelly hit Hanley or Puig.
Talking about, in 2014, the Dodgers lost to the Cardinals in the NLDS, and then the Giants beat the Cardinals in the NLCS on the way to the Giants winning the World Series that year. But yeah, the Dodgers and Giants, they could have played that year in 2014. They could have played in 2016. That was when the Cubs beat the Giants in the division series. Other than the Cubs beat the Dodgers.
But we're forgetting that these DSs and CS, that's a new thing, right? You'd only had 2 teams making the playoffs forever.
That was
and
since
there was a lot of times the Dodgers either knocked off the Giants or vice versa.
At the end of the regular season.
Yeah,
well, they had
that's huge, and that's happened while we were alive for sure.
Well, in 51 and in 62, the Dodgers and Giants tied for the West, and then at that time it was a 3-game series. Okay. And then 51, that was when the Giants were cheating and stealing signs, flashing the scoreboard. That's how
Bobby Thompson
hit around the world.
Yeah, so that's why, because they came back from in August, they were way back in the standings, and then I
didn't even know they had iPads back.
Somehow they got hot at home.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was a tiebreaker series. Other than 62 is a tiebreaker series also. That's as close as they've had as far as postseason series against each other, but those are considered regular season.
Well, but then
games.
93 was it 93 playoff?
93
series?
was
so
when Piazza hit the 2 home
Oh,
runs.
that's the 11 runs.
Fan Appreciation Day.
Miracle on miracle, he's hit another one.
Then baby.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so they get the Padres. I was kind of worried too. Little brother is.
Yeah. But I will say, going back to the Brewer series, now we're talking about the Giants, and the Giants almost snuck in.
That's true.
That's what scared me more than
Yeah.
the Brewers at that point, was having to face the Giants in a 3-game series.
Yeah.
Where things, they were. How many games did the Dodgers lose this year? A third of them to the Giants or something?
Mm-hmm. I think they went 6-4 or something against the Giants this year.
They swept
Kapler
them.
will take Roberts if he has to.
Yeah, and it took the Giants. They blew the last 2 games. They had to, looking back now, they had to win one of those last couple games. I think the Padres had a walk-off win against the Giants. And then
that was in San Francisco, right?
It was, yeah.
I've heard a lot of complaints about some of the managerial decisions made during that weekend from Giants fans. I don't know too much about what happened, but yeah, they were not happy with Gabe.
They lied. Then there was the Brewers had a shot, I think, to clinch a playoff spot, but they lost to the Cardinals and the Cardinals were fighting for a playoff spot at that point. So the Cardinals won, Brewers lost, and the Brewers, I'm sure the clubhouse are all watching the end of that Giant Padre game, and the Padres hung on. They won by 1, I think, to eliminate the Giants. And yeah, that's a great point. I was really worried about that. Didn't want to see the Giants in the postseason.
Really? I felt like we'll smoke the Giants.
I thought it was, in that situation, the Giants would have had nothing to lose, and the Dodgers would have had everything to lose, and nothing to gain. Because, the Dodgers would have had to win that. But, yeah, so then they get the Padres, and I thought it was kind of a similar situation where the Padres are this up-and-coming team. They were throwing a parade down there when they won that wild card series.
I was confused. I thought that was 1998 or something. I didn't know that was real. That was fake news.
The Dodgers won pretty comfortably in Game 1. Again, after I think Buehler started that game, right? And did it feel like, a playoff game to you guys watching that game? Because that was when they went to Texas. Did it feel like postseason baseball watching those?
I thought so. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't. When Bellinger robbed that home run and when all that happened, I yelled in the room by myself loudly where my neighbors could probably hear it. And my family came to see what had happened. So, yeah, I mean, clearly it was an intense moment, and I was watching it as a big-time playoff game. So
that was, and that was the moment that it's like playoff baseball, in my opinion, like that it started. Because game 1 was a fairly comfortable.
Yeah.
It was kind of, and then, there's no crack. Normally when you watch a playoff game on TV, everyone's got their towels, They're going crazy there, and, maybe attend some postseason games too. So it was, different watching it without seeing that experience. And Game 1 was pretty mellow, but Game 2 was a much tighter game. And when Bellinger robbed that home run, that was an incredible moment.
I really don't think people know, like, because we'll get to Betts' plays and Bellinger's other play, but that play Bellinger makes is right at him, and it's the center field turn that they teach in football and that we always teach in the outfield. That was an amazing catch. Full speed, puts his hand out to find the fence, and times his jump and makes that play. If you watch that play over again, I don't know how many guys make that play.
And he covered almost 100 feet.
Yeah, he goes 93 feet. But
he opens the wrong way, and then he has to adjust and round it, and then time it, and know where the fence is. And then he, like I told you guys about the pose when he comes down
before he lands it.
Like with the still shot where he's pointing up because he's happy he caught it, but it looks like he's pointing over the fence. And then the other guy does it in the Korean baseball. Was it Korean? Right?
He was better than Bellinger. Right?
No, that was not cool. But so I didn't like how he did that. He didn't do it on purpose either. But Bellinger, if you watch the replay of him jogging back in, they actually go, "Where's the ball?" Because he was pointing. He was so celebratory, but he had the ball in his glove and you couldn't see it. And so they asked him to show it, and he doesn't show it until he's like almost to the foul line. It was amazing. It was really cool. That was like. There's about 3 or 4 plays. We'll get to the other ones, but that one I'll never forget. That was a great play.
And we talked about, how the Dodgers, it could have been an advantage playing there. I mean, that was only their second game there. And, the Padres had the same amount of time in that park as the Dodgers at that point. So that was, a relatively new area for Bellinger to cover. Makes it even, that much more impressive. But, yeah, that was that the play of the series? Had to be, right?
For that series, for sure. Because, if that ball gets out, we lose that game, right?
You're down.
You never know, but I'm just saying, that ball to only be hit that far, squared up off that 100-mile-an-hour fastball or whatever it was, and for him to be positioned where he was to open up the wrong way and then go get that ball, that was awesome.
We got, the East versus the West in the NLCS, the top 2 teams in the National League, and it looked like it was going to be a great series, and looking back, that's what we got. So they're in a 2-0 hole, and, how often do teams come back from 0-2? It doesn't happen often,
right?
But it happens.
So you were asking how we felt after that game, and me personally, I remember hearing a lot of talk about how they built some momentum. These were good at-bats, and they're going to feel good going to the next day, and I did not buy into that. I was like, this does not matter.
Yes.
And I was just down.
Because they were the visitors the next day.
I understand.
Well,
I got it. I just didn't think it was going to carry over. I just thought it would have no bearing.
So Food saying he knows they're visitors. They're going to come out and score.
That was the point.
Right.
What's
it kind of did
evidence. Documented evidence.
But going back to, they're going to build on that. You're talking about momentum. But what's the age-old saying about momentum in baseball?
Yeah, it's only as good as the next day's starting pitcher.
Hey, you mentioned these world championships, 1981.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know what happened.
But he's talking about next day.
Happened.
Next day starting
jerk
pitching.
Bob Watson said the same thing in '88 from the other dugout. But whatever.
But the going into the series, the
rest in peace.
The Braves had 2 good starting pitchers. So then after that, the Dodgers had to like their chances again. In games 3, 4, and 5. So regardless of what happened in games 1 and 2. You're thinking, all right, Dodgers have that depth. We've talked about depth. And this game, it was a series with no days off. So it's Dodgers got the advantage in games 3, 4, and 5, right? And then they come out against Kyle Wright in game 3.
But that was, if we want to dissect other, managers, we should, that's where they had the momentum, the Braves. If you go 3 days rest, he does pitch 5.
Right? But so they didn't. So Dodgers come out and they put up an 11 spot in the first inning, and
because they were visitors.
But don't forget.
Well, this is not the first time the Braves went through this
back-to-back
against a visiting team.
So the Dodgers give Seager or Betts starts off with an infield single. It's called out. They challenge, reverse the call, and then Seager doubles him home. So they got 1 right off the bat. So you're feeling good. Then the next 2 guys make out and
not together.
So was that the last time? Was that the last time they scored a run with less than 2 outs?
Yeah, seriously.
And then Seager's still on base and there's 2 outs in because you're thinking man on second.
An hour and 40 minutes later.
Yeah, and then they scored 10 runs with 2 outs in that inning. Jock had a 2-run single, or no, he had a 3-run bomb.
think he hit for the cycle that inning.
Jock hit a 3-run bomb. Rios hit a bomb back-to-back. And then Muncy later in the inning hit a grand slam to make it 11-0. So, they throw up that 11 spot and basically cruise that game, right? Urias pitches well.
And that's the beginning. That foreshadows.
They crushed them in game 3. Now Kershaw's starting game 4, try to even the series. And, the Braves are starting some, like another rookie, another former first-round pick, though, I think.
Yeah. That's wild.
But the Dodgers got to be like, all right, we got Kershaw and Hill threw great.
It's Anderson, right? No, this is not Anderson. Was game 2. This is the other guy. Yeah.
It was like Bryce something.
Yeah, spells it funny. Wilson.
Yeah, Bryce Wilson, and I mean the Dodgers.
And he got better as the game went on.
Yeah, Jock hit a solo home run, or no, Rios hit a solo home run.
Was it Rios? Okay.
And Kershaw gave up a home run to Ozuna. It was 1-1 through 5. I think Jock hit one to the wall that would have made it 3-1 Dodgers, and he hit it 410 feet to left or to right of center. And we were watching this game together, and things fell apart for Kershaw in the 6th inning.
Yeah.
And Ollie, you wanted to leave Kershaw in?
No, but
that's
he
why
wasn't
he's
pitching as
outing.
well as he did in that Brewers series for sure.
His velo was down in this game against the
Yes,
Braves.
and
the
his
slider
slider wasn't as tight,
Right.
but he was pitching very well against Freeman, who was the Braves' hottest hitter, who got him started in the first 2 games. Anyway, so that was frustrating, and then
From there, things spiraled out of
and
control.
then we lose the game.
Beatty
10-2.
dropped the ball, and then 10-2, and they're down 3-1.
And now you're down 3-1, and you're like, really, this is going to happen again? Our team's so good. Okay, I've enjoyed the summer as a fan, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But you're like, really? But there's still outside hope because you feel like now you got through the Kershaw drama. And, Jansen's going to have some drama later in the series, but we're better than them. We can beat them 3 in a row.
After that game 4 loss, you're thinking, all right, just find a way to win game 5.
Yeah.
Buehler goes out, wins game 6. And then anything can happen game 7, right?
Yes.
So, but it didn't look good at the start of game 5. What he goes in the May gets Acuna to start the game. He gets him to ground out, but then he gives up a double to Freeman. Then there's a pass ball.
Will Smith catching, huh?
Yeah. Then there's a pass ball and Ozuna walks.
He was
Then
jacked up though, man.
Darno gets the sac fly.
That's right.
Yeah.
Then the next inning, he walks. There's a leadoff walk.
Again.
Wait, that was. But going back to, they intentionally walked Darno with the Albies situation
Early in the series, yeah. Yep.
But
Sit in there and turn him around and make him right. Yeah.
But so there's the next inning. There's a walk, a strikeout, then back-to-back singles, which scored a run. But then he gets a fly ball and a strikeout to get out of the inning without further damage. But they're down 2-0. And then Joe Kelly starts the 3rd inning. And he gives up...
Desperation again.
He gives up 2 singles. I think he fell behind both counts.
No.
And both singles came on 3-2 pitches. Then Albies comes up. He's batting left-handed in this situation.
Right.
So he rolls over
Yep.
to the right side, but he hits it so weakly that they can only get the out at first. There's no chance at a double play. So 2nd and 3rd with 1 out, and Swanson comes up and hits
I would have lost money. I thought it was a pass ball wild pitch that got him the 2nd and 3rd on that.
It was then Swanson hits that blooper into right field, and then Mookie comes in,
That was amazing.
makes an incredible shoestring catch, stayed on his feet, didn't slide, and Ozuna, I don't know what Ozuna was doing. He's dancing
He
off
was-
the third base.
Yeah, I think
Well,
he
yeah,
was.
'cause-
He read a typical fly ball. And he was looking for the catch up top. No reason to do what he did.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, he's sort of dancing off and on, but it looked like he was waiting for the catch up top like a normal fly ball. And when Mookie ended up catching under his waist, it was too late for him to do anything. I'm assuming, I don't know, he could have just gone back to the base, but
He was at 3rd?
Yeah,
yeah,
he was
that's
at third.
the play they had to
The guy
review.
at 2nd maybe should be trying to score. You know,
What?
you would think
What
if
is
anybody
all?
gets doubled off on a play like that.
No, he doesn't get doubled off
No.
at 3rd. This is the one he's safe
Oh,
at
he
home.
left early. He
But then
left
they had to
early.
review.
Oh,
that he
I
left
think,
early.
Major
He never
League
goes
Baseball-
back to the bag.
yeah.
Major League Baseball is going to blame Turner for that one too, because he was in the.
He blocked. He was shielding him.
Yeah, he was shielding him. He's such a dirty guy.
Yeah, that's a great point.
But
Maybe that's why he was dancing.
I texted some, I don't know which thread I texted, but I texted, turning point right there because second and third they're down 2-0 in an elimination game.
And at that point, we had no idea that there was going to be a bigger turning point on the bases.
Yeah. But we don't even get there if we don't have this turning point, right?
And here we're talking about how bad that was.
Yeah.
And we talked about base running at our place, and without knowing what we're about to see.
So the next, you're talking 4 pitches later, Seager hits a home run.
So yeah.
That ended the inning.
Yeah.
Then 4 pitches later, Seager cuts the lead in half. So instead of like at least 3-0, maybe more, all of a sudden it's 2-1. That was all that the Dodgers got that inning. And then it was still 2-1 in the 6th inning when Mookie led off with an infield single. Seager flies out. Betts steals second, which this stolen base is going to end up huge, because Turner grounds out. Would have been a double play if Betts didn't steal second. Instead, Betts actually gets in a rundown between second and third. It was like a one hopper to the second baseman, up the middle. So Betts kind of froze. He was kind of hung up to dry. Stayed in the rundown long enough where Turner got to second. And Muncy, now they bring in Will Smith, the pitcher Will Smith.
Which sort of happens later, too. But go ahead, sorry.
But yes.
But Muncy works a walk, laid off a fastball down and away. And it's typical Max Muncy to draw the walk, which brought up the batter Will Smith. And he works the count. He fell behind 0-2. Took 2 strikes. Laid off 3 pitches. Works it to full count. And then gets that, I think it was like a slider down and in.
Yeah, because he was going hard.
Or it was a fastball down and in, but it was down and in. And he got the point of contact. He got it out in front.
Yes, he did.
Elevated the ball, crushed it into the stands for the lead.
And the neighbors were not happy.
Yeah,
because they got loud.
Now we got a 3-2 series with Buehler on the mound. The next day, you got to be feeling pretty good about that, right?
Right, absolutely.
And
hoping they can score.
Yeah. And so then they come out and it's Buehler against Fried, rematch of game 1. And, the Dodgers are home again. So they're back home in the same stadium, but they're the home team. And Buehler gets a 1-2-3 inning in the first inning. So now the Dodgers go to hit. And Seager and Turner with 1 out go back-to-back bombs.
Yep.
And it's 2-0. And then Bellinger had an RBI single later in the inning to make it 3-0. And with Buehler on the mound, you got to be feeling pretty good at this point, right?
Yeah, and I think we talked about it in our thread. It seemed, some of us thought that Fried was tipping a little bit the pitches from the windup, and it sort of happened, right? Maybe, I don't know. And at that point, definitely feeling good, right? 3-0, Buehler's on. Just fine. Don't mess this up. Right?
Yeah, and you're also thinking like, all right,
you're not counting outs, but
they got 3 in the first. You're like, all right, the offense, they're gonna score a bunch.
Get him out, and use the bullpen. I talked about mentality was kicking in.
Right, but to Fried's credit, I mean, after that, he really settled down. He ended up going, 6 2/3 in that game with just those 3 runs. But Buehler threw up zeros. He goes 6 shutout innings. Training gave up a run in the 7th, but he limited the damage. There's like a Marquez.
He didn't have a lot of clean innings though. There was I think the next inning after they scored 3, they went base Buehler.
No, I think they got his pitch count pretty high, right? He was at over 100 or close to 100.
No, just 89 pitches.
Okay, so I'm thinking
Fried was like at 109.
Okay.
Or something.
Fried was 109 exactly. But Training comes in, gave up that ground ball triple up the line to Marquez. And then Acuna hit that kind of double that just landed fair. But that was it. He limited the damage to that. Baez had a 1-2-3 8th inning, and then Kenley came in and.
But that's where Buehler. They didn't send him out. Buehler at 80 whatever pitches. He had no walks.
Yeah.
Game 1, they sent him out in the 6th inning with 5 or 6 walks.
Yeah. But Kenley, I think he got to save on like 6 pitches. One out, one pitch, or one pitch, one out, another pitch, another
Sets
out.
up more Kenley drama.
And he had thrown the night before.
The night before, he struck out the side.
He came in, looked good.
And they were losing.
No,
trying to give up a
Game
run.
5, he struck out the side to close Game 5 to extend it to Game 6.
Right. And like Markakis had that little ground ball triple, and then like you mentioned, that little double off of Trinan. If Trinan does that in a 9th inning situation, people want to go nuts on him, and it's like, hey, doesn't mean he didn't pitch well. Like that's show me a reliever that didn't give up a run.
Yeah, but so then they finish that game off, and that brings 3-1. So Baez. Don't forget that Baez had a perfect inning there too, because people love to hate on Baez.
What inning did he throw though?
The 8th.
The 8th.
Yeah, see, there you go. It's not the second.
Facing all lefties.
Yep.
which took it to Game 7. And like you say, anything can happen in Game 7. So now the Dodgers, after just tying the game, give up the lead 3 batters later. It's 3-2. Now Training comes in with Markakis at bat, gets ahead of him in 0-2.
And then Will Smith is catching.
Slider in the dirt. Smith gets away. 2nd and 3rd, 1 out.
Yeah.
And then now we're back to the next huge turning point of the series with the bad base running again. Markakis hits a 1-hopper to Turner with 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. I know you guys are all coaches. Actually, no outs.
Nobody out.
Nobody out. 2nd and 3rd. What situation will you guys be in offensively base running? Are you in a green? Are you guys see the ball through?
There's a lot of.
You got to talk through a green, is it? If you're even going to go there, but
honestly,
what are you doing in the big league?
It
2nd and 3rd, nobody out.
There's a lot of other variables.
But
who I have on the mound, what inning, and all that stuff.
Simply
In
put,
that situation,
you have to see it through, but the shift it up. Excuse my language.
And
so
it doesn't matter really
Not
what you
necessarily
decided
the
to
green
do.
decision.
I think what's
As long as
important
you
is
do it
that
yourself.
whatever the decision is, whether you are on a green or you're trying to read it or not, or waiting, whatever it is, then that needs to be make sure everyone's on the same page.
Right.
And that they might have been on the same page in this play, and then freaked out as it developed. It was extraordinary to watch.
So for those of you who have forgotten somewhat, maybe you're a Braves fan and you're trying to forget. If you are, I don't know why you're listening to this episode of the podcast. But yeah, 1-hopper Turner, Albies who's on third. No, Swanson.
Yeah.
Swanson who's on third breaks
Vanderbilt
home.
guy, a smart guy.
He breaks home, and Riley's on second with the ball hit in front of him. He retreats back to third. Turner fields it on 1 hop.
but there's nobody at third.
And you're making this sound like a
That's right,
routine.
the
It was a pretty darn good play to
Right,
get that
right.
on
I
a
mean,
one hop.
so he fields it. No hesitation, fires home, throws a strike to the plate.
And this is a point where we've talked about the Dodgers getting break. They got lucky on this play because Smith's angle and the way he went at him. Oh, and then Turner.
So Smith gets it. He's running him back to third. And at this moment in time, Riley had retreated to second base.
Right.
He was retreating to second base.
But is that because Swanson did?
No, Swanson broke home.
Swanson was
Yeah,
going
so
home.
to me, the play is this.
So he
Swanson, if he's going on a ground ball, he breaks for the plate.
right.
So
Right.
then, what if
And that's what he
then why
did.
didn't Riley go?
That's
Yeah,
what
no,
we're
so
saying.
that's where the mistake is, right?
Right.
Yeah, I
There's
agree
some
on that.
breakdown.
Riley,
and
but that doesn't
yes.
that doesn't influence Swanson's read at that point. In
Once
time.
the
He
throw,
stays in a pickle,
once the
Rundown,
throw
which
went,
he did.
Once the throw went home, Riley should have gone to third.
Riley
Right.
should be at third if he's in a
Yeah,
pickle.
but he
Rundown.
did it. Once
and
the throw
guy
went
who hit
home,
the ball should try to make it to second.
Yes, and he
yeah.
didn't either.
Yeah. Once the throw went home and Smith had it and was running back to third, Riley had retreated to second, which he should have gone to third. Should have
Yeah.
been a twin
Like,
situation.
That's the
Right.
mistake.
So
right
you're
there.
saying that,
That's the big mistake.
That is right. Like,
and that they were in the green the whole time.
no, we don't know that.
Yeah, the guy on third broke. So
The guy-
Right, but we don't
the
know that.
Vanderbilt guy
Right.
must have been told.
But
we're
look
gonna
at
break.
Washington's reaction on that play too, and it's like I don't
Washington
think
being the third base coach, Ron
that,
Washington.
sorry, yes, and I don't think it was a.
That guy doesn't make mistakes. Come on now.
Ron Washington.
Ron,
Ron Washington.
You know he's dialed in. You know
I
he was
feel
in.
like he's
Yeah.
dialed
He was in the moment at that
Yes.
time, like no other.
So if whoever broke back to second Because,
Riley.
like you said, with 0 outs,
He's the one that messed
I'm
up.
probably
You're
first of
probably
all,
not.
Even if you aren't agreeing the way we teach
You're
it,
at the top
a
one.
one hopper to third base is not a green. Like if
he's
you're good
way
at
off
it,
the base, like
if you're good
25
at
feet off the line.
yeah, you're supposed to
So
not
green
go
for you
on
is
a
a read.
comebacker or a
Okay.
hard ball to third base.
Then you're asking
Everything
a lot
else you're
for
doing.
random
No,
people to read.
Yeah, but that's the best way to do it.
Okay.
So he.
Right.
I mean, I think at the major league level, it's you're going on contact down.
Yeah.
Regardless of where it goes. If you're lucky, you read comebacker or hard at a, in
I wouldn't
corner.
even think
Exactly.
they would want to pickle with their guy.
But-
Rundown. But they weren't.
Nobody out. I'm just forget the bat.
Conventional
or whatever.
wisdom is not you're
Conventional
running.
wisdom,
See it
You're
through.
seeing it through.
Yes. You're not going. You're in a red. See it through.
Yes.
Yes.
But that's not what they do
Be
at
like-
Vanderbilt. They do what we did with Bloomfield.
I don't think
That's
so.
why I'm
That was
saying
0
that guy
outs.
did that.
And no,
No, but it was 0
Corbin,
outs.
Corbin
Yeah.
and Bloomfield
Conventional
are very
wisdom.
different. That's
One
not what they do.
out, you can buy it.
Maybe like yeah. Anyway, be conservative with nobody out, but they're not. So he goes, whether he missed the call or not,
Right.
or whether that was the call they're
Whether
in.
he missed it or not, the guy at second needs to
They
follow.
were not on the same
And he
page.
doubled the mistake up. Like, okay,
Yeah.
so you didn't break right away, then just stay at second and don't try to do what you did.
Well, but he was trying to extend the play.
So
Swanson was.
Smith is
No.
running.
And then Riley.
Yes, Riley was trying to extend the play.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
knew. Yeah,
But
it's
again,
it's a
what we
common
always
error.
say, you make an error, you make a mistake. Don't compound that with
Right.
another mistake. And this is what happened over and over in this play.
So Smith is running him back, and at this point, Riley had retreated.
And I got so scared because Smith had a perfect lane and then jumped into the lane right with the runner
I thought
And I
Smith
was like-
yeah,
and was not running hard.
and Turner wanted the ball, like
Yes.
he was closing
Yes.
it, and he didn't get it, and then he was flat-footed
Right.
But
when Smith gave it up.
And then when he dove,
But that's where Riley, I feel like, doesn't really. It's a hard read because the infield shifted. So Turner got the ball and he's like a shallow shortstop. It wasn't.
Yeah.
He wasn't even infield in. He was
Right.
like
he was in a
like
Tony
a
Gwynn
two.
hole.
He was like in a
Yes.
two.
Right, the five,
Straight
yeah.
up. So you got three guys and in the corner in the right side. Now those guys have to come sprinting over for coverage, and that's why Riley tried to go team guy twins to extend the play.
But he was breaking back to second.
because
no,
Turner's.
he-
What I'm saying is that it's a
It's
hard
right in
read
front
that
of you.
one.
If you're
Yeah.
on second by yourself and a ground ball to third, you have to go back. You
right,
don't run
I agree
into
with
an
that.
out.
I agree with
And
that.
you've already alluded to this, and you just mentioned right now. So the whole infield basically sprints over that way because of a shift. And as this developed, the runner never just kept going. There was no one at first
Is
base.
Riley
And I never saw an
foot
overhead
speed?
shot of where
Bobo?
Mookie was. I was
Yeah,
dying to see
the
where
overhead
Mookie
shot,
went.
yeah, that would have been great.
I
to
would
see
love
the
to have
overhead
seen where
shot.
Mookie went on that overhead shot because the runner should have just been on second, right? Or
Uh-huh.
he could have stopped at right in front of second if something crazy happened and gone back, which actually did happen with Betts, and they had an opportunity to exploit that and they didn't. But I would love to see if Betts came over to first or if he was in the middle or what happened there.
Uh-huh.
Blame Fox. That was a very
And they
teachable,
might have that
teachable
game.
moment right
But
there.
so
Yeah,
they,
absolutely. That
uh,
was, we went right to it in the classroom the next day.
Well, okay,
But so yeah,
what
so-
happened?
but Smith was
We just
running it
discussed
back.
all that when we talked
As
about
I was-
0 outs versus 1 out.
As I was watching it, when Smith was running him back and Riley had retreated, you're thinking, all right, great, we're going to get this out. It's going to be first and second, 1 out, trying to ground ball double play out of the inning. But then he kind of was going soft, and then Turner had closed ground, but now it's flat-footed, and Smith gave it up to him late.
Yes.
And Smith, Turner, who's not a foot speed guy, now gets it, and he's starting off flat-footed. And once he starts taking off towards Swanson, now Riley finally committed towards third. And then Turner dives at Swanson.
Which was perfect timing
For a John Boy t-shirt.
for the way it worked out.
Barely gets him.
Right.
I think,
I thought they were going to go review and he didn't tag
yeah,
him.
but I mean, the way that Swanson
He got him.
reacted.
He did, but that's why we've been victimized for so many years. We expect these things to go.
The way that Swanson reacted, I don't even know if
Right.
he went to the
Yeah.
play. You know, it was obvious that he was tagged. Then Turner comes up, fires a strike.
From a knee, right?
Yeah, right to Seager, covering at third, tags Riley out for an unbelievable.
In game
Double
7.
And Fuji and I have been at practices, I'd say no less than 100 times, where we see that same throw go right in left field.
So, I mean, Turner with two
Yeah.
perfect throws on the play.
So it happens 1,000 times a day.
Yeah.
You know, so what? It ended up being a 5-2-5-6 double play to eliminate the runners at second and third. Markakis, who hit the ball, was still at first. Then Pache, the next batter,
Was it one pitch?
No, that was a longer at bat.
Okay.
Because
So you made him work a little bit?
Because remember, there was a wild pitch in that at bat
Oh,
to
yeah,
advance the
yeah,
runners.
yeah.
Pache had a pretty good at bat that.
Yeah.
Pache, I mean, he grounded out.
So
to
if Riley's at third, pass ball score, you don't know.
Right.
I mean, there's a million different variables that are so
the
awesome.
Pache grounded out on a 1-1 pitch. He grounded out routinely to short. Would not have been a double play with Pache's speed. But so yeah, I mean, the Braves did take the lead 3-2, but it could have been 4-2, 5-2.
Yeah, it could have been.
Yeah.
You know, easily with second and third and nobody out.
And then at this point,
Quick.
remember game
Go ahead.
5 when the other base running blunder happened?
But he didn't even touch first, and he rounded it.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah,
He
Ozzy.
gave up. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
but
when.
quick Vin trivia. So if he had gone
It was
to third,
a 5-2, 5-6 if you're scoring with
if you're scoring with us at home, and so say the guy gets to third, Riley. How many ways are there to score from third without getting a hit?
Without getting a hit, with less than 2 out.
Oh, that's
Is
without
that
a
it,
hit.
or-
I was kind
Vin
of
used to always talk about every time a runner got on third, he'd talk about the ways to score without getting a hit, because there would have been 1 out if they just got Swanson in the pickle, and then. Like we just mentioned, a good at bat. One of them was a pass ball. Well, one of the ways to score from third is a pass ball, so you never know. But there's, I think, 8 or 9 ways.
Well,
to
I thought
score.
it was 9, including the hits.
We got pass ball, wild
Ninth
pitch.
is the hit, I believe. I think there's 8 ways to score from third with 1 out.
I thought it was the
without
4
getting a hit.
hits: single, double, triple, home run, pass ball, wild pitch,
sack fly.
sack fly. No, 2
box
outs.
steal.
Error.
So
or
you still
balk.
think it's a green?
What
then?
about the squeeze?
2 outs? Error, balk. Were those
2 outs.
So you still think
So
it's
I
a
think
green?
that's what it was.
You're holding to that.
Did I count 9? Did I say 9?
Hey,
But so the
this-
That's got to
Dodgers,
be it. You're right.
Dodgers got out of it with just the 1 run. Dodgers had guys on, in each inning, but they couldn't get him in. And Kike, who did not hit earlier in the game, so Kike did not start this game, because they had Anderson was a righty, so Kike did not start. They had a lefty in the 4th inning, I think. The Braves brought in Matzik, but Jock led off that inning. They didn't use Kike then. They could have used him then, but they didn't. And they did use him in the 6th inning when AJ Minter came into the game. Minter, who was phenomenal in Game 5.
Yeah.
He had
First
7
3
strikeouts in 3 innings.
And this game will get you. You celebrate like that going off the mound.
And Kike battled, there were 2 strikes on him. He fouled off some pitches, and then he got a fastball, and he crushed it.
And he knew it.
I think everybody knew it. To tie the game at 3, this is in the 6th inning.
This is when I think I was surprised the neighbors didn't call the cops on me, just like you were yelling.
Yeah.
And then in the 7th inning, after 2 strikeouts, Bellinger comes up. And again,
playoff belly.
The best part about this was I was with someone that said, I don't remember Bellinger ever having a big hit in the playoffs early in the game or before the game.
I said that on the last podcast when you guys.
Did you say that to me?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because remember, he
I
was
wasn't
down
talking
and
about
in
it.
and out, and so he adjusted his swing. So that's part of the reason he's trying to figure out how to hit every pitch.
I don't think he's
he was
adjusted
out.
his swing ever. I think it's a stance.
He did.
Yeah.
But
Down and in, he was out in the playoffs. So
I
he was
thought
sick of
more
that.
up and in. He couldn't catch up to the
up
to the
and in.
fastball.
No,
up
this
and in.
year. This year.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
year he couldn't catch
No,
up the fastball.
I'm
up
talking
and
about
in.
last year when he was like the MVP and
Yeah.
then they threw it at breaking balls at his back ankle and
that-
he just kept missing it. So this year going into
All
the
5
season,
games.
he changed everything, and that's why
for the
he's
worst. But yeah, go ahead.
no, yeah. Overall, he's worse, but he got the biggest, arguably
No, but he
the
made
biggest
another
hit
adjustment after
in that.
So
I mean,
he-
Game
he-
7 bomb. That's
But
pretty
there were
big.
2 strikes, and then he battled just like Kike battled, fouled off some pitches, and then he got a mistake, and then just like Kike, he was on time and he crushed it. Point of contact, got it out in front, and
But because he's been pulling his head, he's stepping in the bucket and pulling his head. So now the down and in pitch he got to.
Him and Kenley have made adjustments very similar in this late season, and both of them looked better after that. It was just that it looked a little rougher for Kenley.
the only option I think was would Kenley come in and close out that game,
Right on the 3rd day.
or would you leave in Urias? Those were the two options.
Right. And that you can't fault for both. You said there's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
So who cares what? Right? There's a justification for both.
Yeah, but Urias looked great that game.
Right?
I disagree 100% with Ollie on this. I don't remember many attacks or disagreements on this one. It was one of those there's not.
It's not like the Rendon.
Right, it's not at
that's
all.
Everyone's going okay.
As you just said right there, those are really your only two options.
Yeah. And he stuck with Urias, and Urias had a nice, easy, clean 1-2-3 inning. Although I will say that Austin Riley put a good swing on that final pitch. He was right on time. He just got under it, popped it up to Bellinger in center field.
Yeah.
But he got the out.
Which Smoltz was saying the whole series, throw this guy, elevate,
This pitch was the kind of like center though.
Right, but I'm saying
Yeah.
that he wanted to see that, and that was them to try and end the first game.
Yeah. And so the Dodgers now, they came back from that 3-run hole, right? We were kind of joking, who's the next Dodger manager going to be? And then, Dave Roberts wins his third pennant in 5 years at the helm at the Dodgers. And, at this point, the Rays, who had a 3-0 lead, lost 3 straight games to the Stros, but won Game 7 the day before the Dodgers
Which was
won
big
this game.
too, that they had to use all those extra arms.
How much were you guys paying attention to either other series in the National League or the American League throughout this postseason?
I'd say I paid attention quite a bit. And during that Yankee-Rays series, two things stood out to me. I had no idea about all the bullpen arms. And I was like, wow, they are ugly and hard to pick up and different and really good. And I thought the Yankees looked amazing offensively. And I was like, how are they not going to move on and be the AL reps? Rays went out there, and then in that Astros series, as a fan, I was just rooting for anything to make it go 7. I thought it would have been cool to face the Astros. But also at the same time, like you mentioned, the sub-500 team going to the World Series wouldn't feel good. But then I was watching that Rays series, and I was like, Rays are really good. They're so good. I've underestimated them. They're better than I thought. And then it goes 3-3, and I'm still confused now. Right? I still think the Rays are good, but I don't know why it's a Game 7 situation. But I'm thankful. And it worked out the way it was meant to.
So looking at the other series, I didn't really care, but my son Gibson watches, the Yankees have a stacked lineup, right? So like you're saying,
hold on a sec. I mean, you mentioned Gibson. Are you give love to Owen and Kennedy at all?
No. So Owen and Kennedy are rocking their Dodgers and Lakers gear, but my son Gibson is. I was like asking him, Rays, Yankees, right? He's like, he's playing MLB The Show. He wants to use Judge and the whole thing. Like all these guys are good. So the Yankees have a better lineup, but I'm trying to teach him the history of Friedman built the Rays.
That's right.
And
Friedman also, I mean, he had a hand in the Dodgers, obviously. The Rays, obviously, because he was the GM for the Rays before he came over to the Dodgers. Alex Anthopoulos, the GM for the Braves. I mean, he was previously with the Blue Jays, but he worked under Friedman in LA. And the GM for the Astros, I forget the guy's name, but the guy who replaced Lou now,
Click or Glick?
So
Click, he worked under Friedman.
Was it the?
And so you're looking at the Rays are the true underdog. They're like, but they're doing everything right. So like as a strategist, like Alex is talking about their bullpen arms. When you see that, you're like, but you watch Choi playing first base. You watch. Like, they have guys in their lineup that they know aren't going to get a hit. They're just there for defense. That's like a high school team. Like, there's no DH teams that play like that. And so for them to make it was cool. But at the same time, when it came down to Game 7 and you asked all the Dodger fans like I did, I was like, everybody wanted... Okay, so at first, people were in love with Dodgers-Yankees.
Right.
Like, the history of that. Right. And I was too. Like, that's what I wanted this year to be, Dodgers-Yankees.
Aesthetically, yeah, it's very appealing.
And then I'm like, when it came down to that, but they played Game 7 before we even got out of the Braves series.
Right.
So to root for the Astros at that point was hard because, I want to play the Astros again and get revenge, but I don't want the Astros to go and us not go.
Right.
So it was like, and I had a soft spot for the Rays and the way they do it with a limited payroll and everything. So I couldn't root either way. I was just interested to see what would happen and hoping we would win Game 7. But I think a lot of Dodger fans were like, they want to play Dodgers-Astros. Everybody loves the Joe Kelly story, blah, blah, blah. Last time. So I think that was really interesting. And then it worked out. The Rays came, and guess what? Our pitching and bullpen thing lines up better against their lineup. They don't hit that much.
Right.
So, I mean, they did score a lot of runs the way we scored a lot of runs, matchup-wise and things like that. But you felt like we had, honestly, a better chance against the Rays, even though they were the best team, because now we're just trying to prove who the best team is. Well, we're the best team. We already felt that all year long. But if we had to play the Astros and the Yankees and all these other things come into play, I think it would have been different.
How confident were you guys going into the World Series facing the Rays? Before the season even started. What do you guys think?
Before the season?
Before the series. Before the World Series started against the Rays.
No, I felt good about it. I mean, my fandom wanted to see an Astros rematch and everything, like I said, but the timing of it and how we had to watch Game 7 first. Rays got there. I thought our pitching matched up well against them, and I think everybody knew we were a better team, but they're the underdog. They have a fifth of the payroll or whatever it is, and so that's scary. And so they are just gonna, roll the dice as much as they can, and it's scary.
For the record, payroll has no correlation to winning or losing the World Series. It hasn't been proven, hasn't been shown, but people keep thinking that's a huge factor.
Yeah. All right, but how, what do you think, Dodgers?
I'd still like a ride home.
Dodgers in 4, Dodgers in 5.
I felt good going into the series. I was confident coming back from the 3-1. I was most worried about the perception would be that the Rays were not a good team. It's just this Tampa Bay Rays. Who are they? They really didn't have a star that's recognized outside of baseball fans and followers. And then my fear was the pressure of you're the better team. You're expected to win here. And you're up going against a good team.
Right.
Where people don't think it's a good team. You lose one or two.
The casual fan may not.
But you lose one or two, and then the questions start.
Uh-huh.
And then, the human side of the game, where it's not just PS4 and you're throwing your best ratings against their best ratings, it actually plays out on the field.
Right.
That was my fear.
Yeah. And, I mean, it started off Game 1.
I had one other fear, but you guys know what that is.
Game 1, it started off, it pretty much went as expected. Now, Kershaw was lined up for Game 1 since he hadn't pitched since Game 4 of the NLCS. And after, that kind of rough start in Game 4, coming off the back injury when he was unable to start, was pushed back. He looked good. He looked like he did against the Brewers, and he looked like he did, for most of that game against the Padres, right? Yep. He was dominant. And, the offense got to Glasnow. They were, I feel like that's a good matchup for the Dodgers. They're patient. They made him work. They got a bunch of runs on the board, and they pretty much cruised to a victory in Game 1, right? And at that point, it's like Dodgers in 4, maybe in 5, right?
Yeah, you knew Game 2, you had to mix and match some arms.
Mm-hmm.
I thought their offense would have looked better in not the Rays' offense was going to look better in Game 1, and after Game 1, I was like, wow, they are as bad as somebody you had alluded to on offense. Not bad, that they could struggle against the Dodgers pitching.
Yeah. And how much of that was, the Rays' offense not being great, and how much of that was Kershaw being on his game in Game 1?
Right.
Yeah, so he was on, and I also, as one of you texted and said that the Rays' offense is a little spotty, I was very confident going, all right, let's go left-handed heavy here into the series, and I knew that Kershaw would get 2 starts, and I knew we had Arias, and I knew we could go mix and match with Wood and McGee, and I was comfortable but nervous in that there's been the last, like you said, 5 years we've had a pretty good team and it hasn't panned out, and for a variety of reasons I was nervous but confident.
Anyway,
regardless, there was some weird stat.
Regardless, now we're at a 3-game
series.
Now we
had a 3-game series.
Yes.
And
now it's getting
twice in this game they were a strike away from having a 3-run lead, and now you're worried about this game being played on loop over and over and over again, just like Game 6 in 1986 with Bill Buckner. And it's all lined up on Kershaw. So Kershaw's going Game 5. He threw great in Game 1, but now he has to throw great in Game 5 to
So he's
get
got to
the
wear
win.
his other hat.
In game, to get the win
And move out his eyelids.
to get the advantage again.
Not out of his mouth.
And also, I mean, they.
So I'll flip the tables here on you, Billy. How are you feeling at this point?
I felt very nervous.
Okay.
I felt very, on edge. That I did not sleep very well at all that night. Luckily, they played the very next day, so
that was great.
we didn't have too much time to wait. Right.
That would have been an awful
in
Game
speed.
5 with the day off.
Yeah.
Oh,
And the Dodgers came out, and Mookie leads off the game with a double.
that was awesome.
And Seager follows with a single.
Yep.
And Bellinger with 2 outs, singles, makes it, they get two runs in the first. So that definitely helped. Then Jock hits a home run.
That was a challenge, right? There was a challenge? We're done.
No, not that game.
Not that game, no.
No. And
That was a 15-run inning.
Jock hits a home run. Leading off the second.
God bless Jock.
Yeah.
It's 3-0. It's Jocktober. And things are looking pretty good. But then in the third, Kershaw gives up that that tapper in front of the mound, a swinging bunt.
And then the next guy.
Well, he gets a strikeout, but then he gives up a triple up that line drive up the line,
Oh, right. Yep.
which is basically like that
How
was
did he give up a home run first?
no, not in this game. Not in this game. So he gives up that swinging bunt to Kiermaier, strikes out Zunino, and Diaz hits that triple, and Rosarena gets that ground ball single.
Diaz was in the lineup that game, correct?
Yes,
Yeah,
he was
okay.
leading off.
I thought they misused him.
And but then he gets strikeouts to end the inning. So
3-1? 3-2?
it's 3-2 at that point. And it stays that way until the next inning when he walks Margot leading off the inning.
Did he have him 0-2?
No,
He
it was
just threw a bunch
it
of
was
shitty
3-1.
sliders.
Then he got him swinging on a slider to make it 3-2, but then he laid off a slider down.
Oh, okay.
To walk.
That's right. Yep.
Okay, and then he steals second.
Yep.
Taylor ball clangs off his glove. Margot goes to third on the play. So now he's at third.
So is that an error by Turner?
Yes, Taylor. So Taylor's error allows Margot to go to third. So now Kershaw's pitching fine. He ends up walking Renfroe. So it's first and third with nobody out.
Okay.
Then he gets Wendell to pop up on the infield. He pops up to short.
Kiermaier screwed up there.
And then he strikes out Adames, who hasn't been able to hit himself out of a paper
He had a
bag.
rough series.
Okay.
But he has Mookie.
And so we've got now they still got first and third with 2 out.
Kiermaier. Is it Kiermaier?
Kiermaier's at bat. And Margot, who's seen Kershaw playing today, he's been at third all inning. He's got a good
This is
look
awesome.
at Kershaw.
I love this play on both sides.
And actually,
I know Ollie's got some thoughts.
the footage from Fox was tremendous because the camera was showing the infield at the time, and Margot breaks.
Yep.
While Kershaw
Yep.
is coming set. He hasn't even come
Come
set
down
yet.
No.
And he breaks. And so we're watching this game. You see it happening. What are you guys thinking as it's happening?
I think I might have audibly yelled 4-4-4. And I'll let the lefties talk, but I just thought it was a great call on both sides. Kershaw's reaction, Muncy, whether he said anything or just pointed. The only thing I would have changed offensively is I thought he had a better chance going on leg lift versus taking off when he did. He had the balk factor there.
Uh-huh.
But with the leg lift, if he picks, he's going to be safe because he was off 40 feet because the third baseman was in the shift. And, some guys teach left, right, left. In this situation, he could have been halfway to home.
But now,
But it was an amazing play.
What leg lift are you talking-
Cash.
what leg lift
Yes,
are you talking about?
yes, good question.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. As soon as he sets, right, and you wait for the lift, no matter what happens.
But
If he
Kershaw's-
goes,
he's a
if
slice
he
step.
goes
Slice
slice,
step.
if he goes slice step,
No.
he beats you.
He's
And-
always slide step.
No, he doesn't. And if he picks
Yeah,
the
he is.
Yeah,
Kershaw
he's
never
absolutely
lifts.
100% slice.
Okay, right, but if he goes to first,
Bottom of the
right,
set.
that's where I was going.
Okay.
If he goes to first, you're scoring. And if you wait here, okay, maybe I shouldn't say leg lift. Let's go
Yes.
waiting for the pause because he doesn't pause long, right?
Uh-huh.
I still think he balks more than half the time from the stretch. Watch his pause is less than a second. So wait for him to get down to his bottom set, not coming down. Take off on that, which is going to coincide with the leg lift. If he picks, you're going to be safe easy. If he pitches, it's going to be just as close. Not a big deal at all. That's where I thought the move should have been, but I love the call from the Rays in that situation. And kudos to whether Muncy said anything or not, or Kershaw just knowing.
I know. I saw the video. You could see from one angle.
I thought for sure
you saw
Muncy's
pointing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just like the cuts and relays, you're not going to yell anything in a 50,000 capacity stadium.
One
So
of
it
our
has to be
favorite
this.
drills at a practice is it's a quiet, it's a mute cuts and drills or cuts and relays. Right?
And to Kershaw's credit, I mean, he talked about it after the game, how he communicates with his first baseman. Hey, when there's guys on third base, you guys got to help me out.
Yeah, I
And
did hear that interview.
it happened years ago. In Houston, Carlos Gomez tried to do it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
same
yeah.
thing. Adrian Gonzalez was playing first, and he called it out, and Kershaw threw him out. If you look at the video, it looks very similar to this play in the World Series. And Kershaw, I thought it was unbelievable
They didn't balk.
that he did not block. He stepped off through to the plate, and by stepping off, that allows Barnes to be able to come out in front of the plate.
Oh, Barnes, so he was able to catch it.
Secure
the ball.
But
Because it wasn't a great throw.
Are you going to talk about Kiermaier?
well, before that though,
Are you talking about Kershaw and Muncy?
at the break, it's not hard to come here and someone step off. If he's
But
at the bottom of the step, if he's at the
Right,
bottom
but
of the
it's a World
set,
Series.
the
He's
bottom of
up.
the set,
He's like up here.
I know there's a timing and tempo
Yeah.
to it. If he gets to the right here, the bottom,
Uh-huh.
you probably then initiate a balk from
Mm-hmm.
him if Muncy's.
And Muncy's the one that freaks him out, you're saying.
No, I'm not saying that. Yeah, I mean he could. Yeah,
That's- yeah,
absolutely,
yeah. That's
absolutely.
what I meant. Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
yep, you're right. And because he used to go leg lift, and he's like a right-hander controlling the running game, right? Because he just goes slide step instead of having a good.
But he's better than a right-hander controlling the running game because he kind of cheats.
Yeah, he rolls through.
He rolls through the
he
stop
either
and-
rolls or he
Well, and even
sits.
and his pick the first is
Is a slide step.
questionable as well. Like, yeah, exactly. He
Everything's a
just
slide
went-
step.
Yeah,
And then Kiermaier opts out of it. I mean, I'm
he
not,
jumped out. Yeah.
He kind of has obligated to do so because when Kershaw
They're
steps
talking
off,
about
he's
the runner on
defensive.
first.
Right.
No.
I'm talking about the hitter.
The batter.
Right, but
the batter.
don't do anything and let them.
What about the runner on
You
first?
can't necessarily go like this.
Well, yeah,
not-
so
not
that's,
get out of the
right,
way.
right.
But he like,
But at
once
least
the ball, once the ball's out of his hand, he's
If
like
you
this.
don't, right, you put the onus on them to make that call.
Yeah.
They would've-
The runner on first.
My Nazi head coach in high school, probably at that time, like 2-1, whatever the count
think
was,
you
he
meant
would put a
a leg.
right-handed pitter in, so that he would like spread out
Oh,
wide.
all right, yeah, we've heard that.
But the
Spread
runner
out
on
wide
the runner on it was
and don't
clearly
move. Yeah.
based on the runner on
Swing.
first's reaction. Renfro did nothing. If it were a orchestrated play, the runner on first should
Is that
have.
Renfro or Riley?
Yeah.
Because they look
Renfro.
the same.
Yes,
Right.
yes, that's the yeah.
They were not on the same page.
So you're saying there wasn't communication between two runners again? How about that?
This was Margot acting on his own, which, like you say, it was a
Or him and his third base coach.
yeah, but without.
I don't think.
And that's what, that's
I don't know,
why
I
to
didn't-
orchestrate that properly, you do. You
Yes.
bake that so that
Right.
Yeah.
Get bigger or whatever.
you
Yeah.
go there.
I didn't listen to the post game interviews, but was
Cash
there
said that it was Margot acting on his own.
okay? But had they discussed it again?
Kind of
Again, this is
sounds like Dave Roberts.
Again, this
Maybe
is a
white, black isn't
conversation
so different.
that should be had before the series starts, right? Hey, if we find ourselves in this first and third Kershaw
No.
situation,
Because they're,
maybe before the game,
I think they should hit everything out in front. It's gonna be 10-0. Who cares?
but right, so then you don't run, you don't try to run this play.
Until then you freak out because the series is where it is.
No,
So
that's what
it's
I'm
the-
saying. If this conversation never happened, then they shouldn't go on his own. That's crap. If you go, yeah, Margot went his own because we had some numbers and this is what we talked about in this situation, everyone knew.
I'm saying
That's a whole
this.
different
I'm saying two things.
than just some guy going rogue going, I'm going to
Two
try to
things.
steal home, right?
The guy at first sees his guy go. He should go. And
No,
That's
that
split
plays
second.
opposite.
That's too late. It's
He-
the other
he
way
should
around.
go- he
It's a
should go
reverse.
first.
You're
Yeah.
going reverse Kansas City.
Yeah.
but either way,
You tried that in Anaheim Stadium.
or
if you're going to break before he
saying
sets, you
if
get bigger.
Margot's acting on his own,
Right.
the guy at first could have helped him out and he would have been safe.
How?
Secondly,
How?
If he just
No,
goes,
because
if he
Muncy
sees
sees
him
his
go-
eyes. Muncy sees his
Yeah,
eyes.
Muncy and
Okay,
Renfro
so
both see it at the same time.
that's my second point. Muncy Because this play right here, I know we're spending too long on it.
Nah.
But this changes the whole World Series because it's a tie game.
This is awesome.
Here's what makes it hard, too, by the way.
It would have been 3-3.
And right-hander, no outs.
Right-hander.
Kershaw knew nothing. Everybody goes, "Oh, Kershaw made a great play."
Yes,
his
that's
throw
that is an ignored point right there
What?
too. That having a righty at first versus
And
a lefty
a
at first.
left-hander at home.
Yes.
It gave
Ideally,
all the
you have it
advantages.
flipped. You have a lefty at first baseman and a righty hitter on offense.
No, but the bottom line is Muncy. If you watch the replay, I'm assuming, like we just talked about,
All he has to do is go like
there's
this.
no.
He came off the
He came
field
off and he's
pointing
pointing.
forward.
Yeah,
pointing.
but he went forward too.
Right.
He was
Okay.
the play.
What you should
Just
do,
like
by
on
the
a
way.
slow leg kick.
But he
guy,
didn't go leg kick at
if
that
you're
point.
going to throw him out at second. The first baseman has to be very active. If he passively notices
He
it,
didn't.
All he has to do is go
no,
like this.
Muncy
was pretty adamant.
he moved way faster than he did on Freeman's
And
ground
pointing.
ball,
Right.
and that was the difference in the World Series.
In the bottom of the sixth,
This
Snell gets the first out on one pitch. Pollock pops up, and Barnes, then the 9-hitter, singles to center.
Not
So now,
sharply, just kind of end of the bat.
clean
Well, that
single.
kinda
I think
like-
it's
Yeah, but not like a.
That was the pitch that got in trouble, was that kind of hanging cutter type thing.
And what was it, 1-0 count or something?
It was a
Betts
1-1
and
count.
Seager are 0 for 4.
Betts,
With-
Seager, and Turner are
0 for
combined
6.
0 for 6 with 6 strikeouts. And they're due up. It's the third time through, though.
Oh, jump out of the
and
dugout.
if you look
then.
at the computer, third time through, pitchers don't do well.
Jump out right now.
And
Straight out of the dugout.
yeah, Cash comes out and points to the pen immediately
Yeah.
before he even crosses the foul line.
Kind of did that early in his first start, too, by the way.
But
Right?
At this point, something smells funny.
what? So I mean, I know what I was feeling. What were you guys feeling once he pointed down to the pen?
I felt like I was watching Dave Roberts on the other side.
If Mookie gets a hit, we're winning the game.
I was
That's
like,
how it was,
yes,
right? If
yes.
Mookie gets hits,
Yeah.
we're winning.
It
So
was
now they bring in,
the guy that was in jail. Anderson.
so he can't vote.
Yep. Well, I don't know if it was a felony.
Yeah,
And you can vote as many times as
Yeah.
you want.
Florida's a swing state. I think it's going to
Kinda-
go blue.
my thought with like coaching, like just kind of like a basic thought is like
Thank God.
if they do something that the other team is happy about,
Yes.
it's a bad move.
Yep.
Like all this would be if the other team's happy about it, it's not the right move. And the Dodgers even said like once they made that move, it was like a weight off their shoulders. We can breathe now.
Yep.
Because all that information. They talk analytics. I don't like saying analytics because people, there's a negative connotation for people who are against that.
Right.
No, it's
Basically,
analytics. It's qualitative analytics.
all it is information, right?
And quantitative.
Basically, it's information.
Well, he said he was talking about qualitative.
But everything that they said, it was, says take him out. But, then everyone argues that the eye test says leave him in.
Right.
But basically, the Dodgers are happy that they took him out.
Right. So that's not good.
Exactly.
And it's a game 6. Like, he's got 6
He's
months to
73
recover,
pitches or
5 months to
But the
recover,
other
or
thing
whatever.
is, maybe it was the right decision to take him out.
No.
Well, look at game.
I got that question right. That's why.
But if you look at game 2, he hadn't given up a hit. Then all of a sudden, walk, home run, walk, single.
Right. So the argument is now he figured it out.
Well,
He's seen these batters.
maybe.
Look at what he's doing tonight.
Maybe.
And he was at what, 70 pitches, 71 pitches?
Yeah, like 73.
Like, that's a ridiculous.
So, but the debate, you can debate taking him out, leaving him in.
Yes.
But I think everybody can
Why
be in
Anderson?
agreement. Yeah, why did they go to Anderson?
Yes.
A guy who'd given up a run in like 6 straight appearances or
Yep.
something like that. So that was, regardless of leaving him in or taking him out, that was a huge
That's
mistake.
another one, too. Yep.
Mookie comes up, gets the count in his favor, line drive up the third base line.
That would have been gone if he just lifted. And he was,
What inning is this again?
This is the sixth.
Yeah.
Six,
Oh,
right?
right
and
on.
then there's a wild pitch.
The wild pitch was huge.
And then ground ball and Mookie, great read.
Maybe.
Right, left, right. Reads the hard angle, and
Choi-
he scores.
No, it was the the primary.
Yeah, Choi, there was a lack of urgency, I felt
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
with Choi.
Yeah, he didn't misplay it. He didn't bobble it, but it was
He just
a
sat
lack-
back.
it was a
he
lack
was
of urgency.
in. Think about it. He was pretty much in.
He was in,
I mean,
but the transfer was a little slow as
Chopper,
well.
you got to
Like,
charge a ball.
It was
he
a...
didn't, he didn't do anything to try to speed it up.
Mhm.
And, yeah, it cost him. And I'm not blaming Troy.
Right. I mean, like, what could he have? I mean,
Yeah,
he could have
exactly.
done much.
Much more, right?
Yeah.
Maybe come up a step, maybe.
So Mookie comes on. That's the 6th inning, bottom of the
Kimchi.
6th. Now all of a sudden, now we're counting outs, right? 9 outs away from a title.
No. Smoltz kept saying, don't count the
Don't count
outs.
outs.
I don't listen to the announcers.
So yeah, Smoltz told us don't count the outs.
Oh, well, he
Count
told
of
you-
multiples of
Yeah,
3.
because
like,
you're
what
going
are
to
you
want to
looking
count
at?
the outs here, but you need to just stay focused. pitch by
So you
pitch.
stayed focused pitch by pitch?
I think I did.
Yeah, I think everybody did.
Oh,
When you're a
as soon as
pitcher,
I-
you can't worry about outs.
Well, I'm a fan. I don't
Yeah,
need
right.
to worry about that. I can count the outs.
Right.
And that's what I did.
And that's why I need to go back and watch some of these games because I didn't enjoy them 100% as
What?
a fan. As a fan, like
Yeah, he was
I'm-
analyzing it.
I'm
it freaked
still,
him out.
and that's hard. It really
It
is.
is. It's different.
And like, yeah, you're worried about whatever instead of just sitting back and
Hesitant heroes.
sort of, yeah,
Alright,
it's
so-
cost me later.
And so Urias, he gets the first out, and he strikes out the next guy.
was
And
great.
then on 3 pitches, he strikes
Take.
out Adames.
The last two taking too.
The last guy that the Rays probably wanted up in this situation. And so 0-2, he's got him 0-2. Heading into this inning, like how confident were you guys? Were you guys thinking about the title? Because my thought process was, the Dodgers are winning the World Series right now. I'm going to take a moment to kind of reflect on like this whole postseason. I'm going to remember where I was right now. Hopefully I don't have to wait 32 years again to talk about where I was the last time the Dodgers won the World Series. But like, the Dodgers are about to win the World Series, so I'm just trying to soak it all in.
So I was worried about a lot of different things at this point. There was someone said it, that was in our group, something along the lines of, how do we celebrate when they win? And then some stranger joined our group and started watching the game and asking a bunch of questions. And he's like, oh, one more strike. And we had been referencing this, don't count the outs, right? Because of Smoltzy. And this guy's like, oh, just 2 more strikes or one more strike.
How many Smoltz was on?
I was fine with Smoltz, but then this guy's saying that, and I think it was Fuji that corrected him, was like, hey, we don't count strikes here. And then the superstitious side of, do I move, do I sit, all this, and that was all going through my mind. But I was happy it was Urias going. I thought that was the right call.
Yeah.
What was he, 22
For sure.
pitches?
I went and played 9 holes before the game, and I kind of felt like I knew we were going to win. And I had my son Gibson out there, and the guy was a Dodger fan. And I'm like, you got to say you played with a kid named after Kirk Gibson on the day that the Dodgers won the World. So he was stoked, and Gibson's out there hitting the golf ball. And then we get there, and it was just like, it was fun, but at the same time, it was like, I don't know if you guys saw me in my car doing donuts after the game.
Yeah,
I was more excited than I thought I was going to be.
It was
Let's just say that.
Is yours the one whose car was caught on fire there doing donuts? And Fuji, how about you?
Yeah, I was very confident, socially distanced, of course, and
Yeah, it's true.
No, it is a long time coming, and we'll watch it whether they're going to be great again. We know they're going to be good, but all these teams, so
like
the
a
Braves, the Cardinals, the Giants, the Padres, all that is the drama that we love. Even the Kershaw and Jansen drama, we love it. It's like days of our lives for us. The hourglass goes.
Make the Dodgers great again? Is that what you said?
yeah.
No, I didn't say that.
I think you did.
All right. So what were the celebrations? Turner's doing donuts.
Yeah, I
his
did
car caught on
donuts.
fire.
Yeah.
With Randy Newman blasting from his radio. Right.
Right.
What other celebrations are going on?
We had champagne.
Champagne.
That was nice. I was.
We had a nice Korean couple come by.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they joined us, and a couple other
dog
people
walkers.
do a private little fireworks show for us.
Oh, that's right.
Or firecrackers.
That was late. Yeah.
I had a feeling of this wasn't it. Like there was still more, right? It wasn't official yet. Like
Well, the
now,
game-
now they got to go play another series.
The
type of
game
feel.
itself wasn't as dramatic as Game 4 or even 5 with the attempted steal home or the Braves games. Like it was
But
kind
it
of like
wasn't-
Game 7 when we lost to the Astros.
No,
remember
see,
how
I felt like Game
monotone
7
that
was
game
really
was?
anticlimactic.
Yes, it was. Absolutely.
This was not that way. This was intense throughout the game, right? And you're
Was
right,
it?
it wasn't dramatic, but it was tense.
Because,
3-2, 4-2.
Well, the Dodgers
That
were
other
down
game was
until
5
No,
nothing.
but that's how this
second
game
inning.
was.
No,
Oh, was
this was what? It was 3-2. And then
4-3-1.
4-2 at the end.
3-1 was the
3-1.
final, but the Dodgers
But
down
we were
1-0.
up the whole
3-1?
3-1.
3-1
okay.
for a lot of the game, I felt like.
Dodgers
Yeah,
didn't
you
score
felt
until the
much more in
sixth inning.
control. But Snell was dealing, and
Yeah.
I think I might have felt like that because
right with the other stuff. You don't want to say
If
that on the
you go
podcast.
inning by inning,
Bueller
you
was
won the
going to throw
game.
Game 7.
That's it.
Tampa Bay won the game. I mean, inning by inning. Snell had the first 5.
Yeah, he got pulled in
yeah,
the.
It
with
was
one
literally
out
the
of six.
6th inning and the 9th. Dodgers won. Otherwise, it was tied or they won.
Yeah.
Listen, I had my in-laws over, just thinking family. We're going to watch this. It
You're
hasn't
distracted,
happened. Gibson,
okay.
I got all these. No, but then my nieces are doing TikToks, and I'm like, remember this when you get married, and I'm looking at my phone because
They don't have to get married.
I don't
I think that's Prop 24. Are we talking about Prop 24?
yeah,
I don't know. what it
mean,
is.
I don't know if the drivers are going to have insurance by then, but
That's 22.
It's Kershaw's number. You
no,
know
but
that
I'm
one.
like, I'm not watching you guys' first dance if you're not going to watch the Dodgers win the World Series with me. I'm just saying. That's what I told them. So I think that really hit home with them, and it was a good life lesson.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was. The only thing that I felt lacking was, either not being at the stadium or not being,
in a big social gathering.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, I was trying to soak it up as much as I could. I was watching it with my wife. I told her, soak it up. Like, remember where you
Right.
were then, when, because,
No guarantees.
she wasn't born the last time the Dodgers won, and I mentioned earlier I was too young to remember. So I'm trying to remember this.
But she doesn't care if Kike's not on the team. She's not going to watch next year anyways.
But yeah, it was great. Kind of like what you said, it still hasn't completely soaked in yet. I mean, as
the days go on, yes.
it goes on, and the MLB Twitter is tweeting out Dodgers stuff. In
Highlights,
past
yeah.
years I was always bitter, like, oh, you see
I don't
this
want to
team,
see this. Yeah.
But now and when they start the season next year, the Dodgers are gonna get their rings at some point, and everything is, Dodgers are the champions. We got, we ordered stuff. Turner, you're wearing your World Series championship T-shirt
you went
on
to the
here.
swap meet today. Look at
This
you.
is Sam's Club, $10, but I got the. So I don't know if we're doing a recap of the final thoughts, but my final thoughts.
All right, let's go. What are your final
That's
thoughts?
twice you've tried to segue to the
Can
final
we-
thought.
I don't know. I know last time we had a final thoughts, but
right, here we
kind
go.
of said it already. But to me, the Turner double play on the first and third, and we bantered forever about the possibilities offensively and defensively.
Mm-hmm.
But in the Braves series, obviously Belly hits the big home run, but that 5-6, whatever you guys want to say, double play. I bought that shirt off John Boy for my kids. That was the big play to me in the Braves series. Could have gone either way. Game 5 of this World Series, it looks like, Dodgers were the better team. We won in 6. But after Game 4, momentum is real. And Game 5, they try to steal home on us. And to me, Max Muncy doing what he did, whatever you want to say, point, go over there, act like a torta was getting thrown at him, whatever. He made Kershaw look good on that play. And then he hit a home run to give us a cushion. That was the difference in the World Series and made it look easy like we all wanted it to as the favorites, whatever. But those were, and then Belly's rob of the home run in the Padres series. Those are my 3 plays that I'll never forget.
Okay. Fuge,
You made
final
some great
thoughts,
plays.
favorite plays?
He
Favorite
still
moment?
ragged Kershaw on that. Muncy, hey.
Muncy
It's
did it.
communication. It's communication. It happened the way it's supposed to
So
happen.
Kershaw in mid-yawn, breathing out his mouth,
Yeah,
stepped
he's-
off and threw it in the dugout.
Well,
and
we're
then they had
on
to go
Fuge's
get
final
it.
thoughts now.
It's okay,
Well,
it's
you
okay.
had your final thought and your
But he's
favorite
bringing
play.
me up. He's bringing me up.
What I will say also is, yeah, it was great. I have nothing but positive things to say, other than Ollie doesn't like Kershaw.
Well, Ollie bullying us into the final thoughts here. I wasn't ready for that. I thought we were still having a conversation. But
Well, Turner was ready to celebrate. You're not?
We're running
Yeah,
out of
you're
footage.
up-
We're running out of
Memory here?
Yeah.
it was amazing. It was fun. It was great. It was everything we said it would be a month ago and more.
Super spreader.
The things that stood out to me that are super impressive is how many Dodgers were on former Dodgers were on other teams during this playoff run. Right, you had Greinke and Rue and Maeda and Darvish and guys all of Culberson
Talk
that
about
are
AJ.
really good players. Preller?
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna go there. That was
Reed?
that stood out to me. The stuff that the Dodgers went through, right? Like I said, they lost Maeda, they lost Rue, Price opted out, Kershaw an hour before opening day on disabled list, Bueller with the blister misses time, and they just kept overcoming everything. Traded Stripling and didn't miss a beat. I mean, that guy was an all-star and a starting pitcher. Wood was supposed to be in the rotation and struggled. And then no excuses, right? Just kept going and going. There was always another guy to step up. That was amazing to me. Two, you always hear, oh, their payroll. That's why I mentioned the payroll is not a thing.
How many guys were homegrown, right?
22 of the 38 guys were drafted and raised, or Dodger organization guys. The two big free agent signings that they had was Pollock and Kelly, right?
Harding made $10 million and he got big outs.
People talked about him. The A's DFA'd him, and didn't offer him a qualifying offer. That's why he ended up a free agent. Like, that's not a star.
Million.
Yeah, he got more money.
Other people knew he was pretty.
He got more money getting cut. If the A's would have kept him, he would have got like $6 million. No joke.
Well, and we love Maeda and everything, but there's this guy named Mookie Betts too.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. It wasn't this $100 million for Stanton or Rendon or Cole, right? These were guys we've been with for 6-7 years or longer. Guys that were no longer with us, but we still were like, they're still Dodgers.
Yeah,
like we've connected with them. I thought that was really cool, right? And I love the Lakers, but that was the big difference in the two seasons, right? So that, and then looking ahead, like there's nothing that makes you think that this was a one-time deal and now they're going to have a huge fall off. You got a lot of guys locked up. You got guys coming back. You have money. You have so many things open to you and moves that you can make. And then the stock, the minors and the prospects are stocked, and that's an exciting thing. And now it's a matter of how are they going to react to being champs and how they handle next season.
Okay. Before I share my final thoughts, one quick question. So the Dodgers won 8 straight division titles, and they finally won the World Series. Can they now be classified as a dynasty?
I think it depends on how you view 2017. If you are a Dodger fan and you
even
believe,
if based on the results there, they did not win the World Series.
Then I think a dynasty you have to win multiple actual championships.
Okay.
Were the Braves a dynasty?
Hey, we're talking about expanded playoffs and all this other crap. If you're the last 8, that means you have a chance to World Series. Yes, dynasty. 8 years in a row.
8 division.
It's gonna be like 15.
And for me, a dynasty has to win
More than one.
But they are a model.
I mean, who shot JR?
They're a model of what
an organization should be
doing. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like Food said, you just want to get in the dance, and if you have a chance year after year after year, anything can happen. And that's what you want as a fan, as a player, as a front office guy. Right. Our team had a chance. We were close, or we got in, and then roll the dice, see what happens.
So listeners, if you've made it this far, let us know on social media, at Boxy Banter on Twitter and Instagram. Let us know if you think, the Dodgers are a dynasty now that they finally won a World Series. Share what you think it takes to be a dynasty. I'm very ecstatic that the Dodgers finally won, that I got to experience a World Series championship. Hopefully be able to attend a parade at some point. I don't know what.
And have a Dodger dog for 32 years.
Yeah. The last time the Dodgers won, it was a dual championship in LA with the Lakers and the Dodgers winning. We had the same thing again. They won it, within a few weeks of each other. So we got Title Town here in LA.
And that's something we've never experienced before. We'll probably, hopefully, never experience again.
UCLA-SC, they were top 5.
No, I'm talking about Lakers and Dodgers winning within weeks of each other.
Weeks of each other.
Okay. That's why you go short season, because now you're conflicting with the NBA season. When's the NBA season starting?
Well, it depends on who you ask. They say they want to start December. I think they should start MLK Day.
Yeah. Congratulations to the Dodgers for winning it all. Thank you guys for coming back and discussing the celebratory podcast with the Dodgers. So thank you guys for coming. And this is Billy Ballas of Box Seat Banter, finally signing off.